At first, it was just a rumor whisper in the corridors of the African Union headquarters. A classified document name scribbled at the bottom, Benjamin Netanyahu, and suddenly everything moved fast. Because once Ibrahim Traoré got hold of that message, that carefully worded plea from Tel Aviv, the world learned something no one expected. Israel had quietly reached out to Africa for help, and Traoré wasn't going to keep it quiet. The message wasn't public. It was never meant to be sent through back channels. It was part of a broader diplomatic operation now being referred to by insiders as the reset strategy. The goal to reframe Israel's standing across Africa where support was waning, especially after Traoré's explosive rhetoric and influence surged through the continent. But what Netanyahu didn't anticipate was that the letter would reach the wrong hands, or maybe the right ones. Inside that message was a proposal. It's one that promised $1.2 billion in strategic aid, infrastructure development, and security coordination in exchange for African silence. More specifically, in exchange for Traoré dialing back his public criticism of Israeli policy and encouraging other West African leaders to soften their stance. But Traoré didn't just reject the deal. He made it public live on air with the whole continent watching. The world watched, confused at first. Was this real? Was he bluffing? But no. The document was verified by two independent EO officials. It wasn't just a diplomatic offer, it was a test. A test of how far Africa could be pushed, manipulated, paid off. Traoré's answer was loud, sharp, and unforgettable. Make it nationally. Televised address, Ibrahim Traoré stepped to the podium. His face was calm, his uniform crisp. He held the letter in his hand, and without raising his voice, he said this. This letter asked me to compromise my people's dignity for money, to stay silent while others dictate Africa's future, to act as if we are for sale. Let this be clear. Burkina Faso is not a subcontractor of foreign empires, and I will not trade loyalty for bribes. That moment hit like thunder. Every news outlet picked it up. Every regional leader took notice, and within hours, phrase "Africa is not for sale" began, trending in 14 African countries. But this wasn't just about the money. It was about the timing. Netanyahu's government, facing increasing diplomatic isolation, had hoped to quietly rebuild support across Africa. They saw Traoré's rising popularity as a threat, not just in Burkina Faso, but across the entire global south. A message of sovereignty, resistance, and post-colonial defiance had captured the youth, the opposition movements, even the middle-class reformists. Israel needed that wave stopped. So they made a calculated move, one that assumed Traoré was like every other African leader they dealt with, ready to deal behind closed doors. But what they didn't understand is that Traoré had no intention of playing by their rules. Following the broadcast, Traoré took it a step further. He announced an emergency summit of 5 West African nations to discuss foreign influence operations disguised as investment. By the end of that week, not only was the Israeli proposal publicly exposed, it had triggered a full diplomatic crisis. Mali, Uni, and Niger announced they were reviewing all current Israeli-linked contracts. Chad recalled its ambassador from Tel Aviv, South Africa, already critical of Israel's foreign policy, praised Traoré's courage, and urged more leaders to reject economic coercion disguised as diplomacy. Inside Israel, Netanyahu's cabinet went into full damage control, according to leaks from within the Prime Minister's office. The Foreign Ministry was instructed to pause all informal communications with Burkina Faso and its allied states. One official, under condition of anonymity, said the Prime Minister was furious, stating he turned a private agreement into a weapon. But it didn't end there, because Traoré wasn't finished. A few days later, he appeared again, this time not on state television, but at a university campus in Bobo Dioulasso, addressing hundreds of students directly. No teleprompter, no military backdrop, just his words and their weight. We were told to stay quiet, to accept what's given, to say thank you when we're ignored. But now they come to us because they fear what happens when Africa wakes up. He paused, looked at the crowd, and asked, "So, should we go back to silence, or do we speak louder?" The crowd erupted. That moment wasn't just about Burkina Faso anymore. It became a regional rallying cry, not just against Israel, but against every foreign power that treated Africa like a client, not an equal. Journalists across Europe tried to spin the story. Headlines like "Traore escalates tensions in Burkina Faso risks isolation" flooded Western media. But on the ground, the energy was different. Artists painted murals of the letter with a red X across it. Online influencers shared clips of the speech with the hashtag #AFFRICA not for Al. Meanwhile, African youth organizations in Senegal, Ghana, and the DRC launched campaigns demanding transparency on all foreign aid deals. In Kenya, student groups issued an open letter asking their president to disclose recent meetings with European and Israeli diplomats. This wasn't just a rejection, it was a chain reaction. Diplomats who once dismissed Traore as a firebrand now had to admit he had something they didn't trust. The people believed him, and that was more dangerous than any military alliance. Netanyahu, according to close allies, was left stunned by how fast the narrative flipped. His goal had been subtle influence. Instead, he sparked a continental backlash that redefined how African leaders see their role on the world stage. And the question now, one every foreign office from Washington to Paris is quietly asking, is this: what if Traore just showed Africa how to say no? Because now every backroom deal risks exposure. Every shady offer could be televised. And every attempt to divide Africa may just unify it faster than anyone expected. Before you go, we want to hear your thoughts. Was Netanyahu's offer strategic or a desperate mistake? Should Traore have handled it differently? Or was this the only right answer? Let us know where you're watching from in the comments below, and if you believe in Africa's right to lead its own future, hit that like button and subscribe to Traore Uprising for more real breakdowns of the stories global media won't show you. This isn't just politics, this is history in motion.